I want to introduce Jim Tolbert, and the reason I wanted to talk to Jim is because Jim has been in Cabo since the 80s.
85, 39, going on 40.
Going on 40 years.
Full-time, 25 years.
Wow. So what brought you to Cabo for the first time?
We were at a party in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and ran into a friend of ours. And I said, hey, Sue Ann, what have you been up to? And she said, I'm going down to Cabo to set up a restaurant for Ray. Ray happened to be a guy we knew from Berkeley. So Sue Ann says to me, you guys should come visit. And I'm like always up for a trip.
Absolutely. It sounds like you travel all over the world.
I had to say, where is that?
Yeah,
you know?
where is Cabo?
And she told me. And I said, wow, that sounds really interesting. So 2 weeks later or something, I called her up. And I said, Sue Ann, are you serious? She said, yeah, come down. I have a place for you to stay. So we came down. And the place that she was staying at, Ray was building the Tropicana restaurant.
Okay.
That was before, the restaurant was there for a few years before
the
hotel. The restaurant was the first part of it. And I think we flew down that Thanksgiving and we brought down turkeys and hams and stuff for a for a party for everybody working on the restaurant for Thanksgiving. Right around the square, and there still are a few of those homes that people live in. And they're narrow, storefronts now and shops. But those were people's homes, and you could see a few where people still sit out in their rockers, when you walk around during our walk and see these people. And those were skinny, narrow lots that ran all the way back to what is now Centenario.
Okay.
So, and the backyards were usually, they'd have chickens or goats or something. There was some wildlife there. And, on the front, you're right on the square.
Yes.
So I would go out, in the morning with my coffee. And her apartment eventually became La Baguette.
Okay.
Which has been gone for years. But that's where I lived, the first spot I ever slept in here. And I would go out in the morning with my coffee, and there was a stone, concrete bench out there. And I would sit there, and the church is right straight across from me. And I would sit there with my coffee and just watch the people go by. And I was just so fascinated.
Yeah.
Just
You fell in love with it.
I fell in love with it. Yeah. And so we just kept coming back for many years. And we'd come back and fish and and then eventually we got a little extra money, and a friend told us, she had bought another property and the price she paid for it. We went, wow, this would be a great place to be. I'd come down with cash in my pocket, and I was like, motivated buyer for sure.
Give me something to buy.
I need something. And I was driving through La Cholla area, and I see this Baja property sign, broken and bent, lying in the dirt. And I called up the one realtor I knew at the time here, and said, Michael, there's out here I think they called us La Cholla near La Playita, and there's a Baja property sign lying in the dirt, and doesn't look like anything's happening here. He said, well, check out the neighbors. So I said, oh, okay. So I walked out and talked to the only neighbors we had. The property adjoined that lot for sale, and found out that they were the original owners of all of that area, and they had deeded it to their kids as the kids grew up, and that lot I was looking at belonged to their granddaughter. And so anyway, we got them out there and actually made a deal right there pretty fast.
Wow.
And just sort of never looked back.
What did you do for a living that you were able to come down here?
I own my own business.
Oh, okay.
So I pretty much, I know you wanted to know, to start off with, I was born in the U.S.
Okay.
In Rome, Georgia, believe it or not.
Yes, okay.
You know where Rome is.
Absolutely.
Well, I left there when I was very, very young.
Okay.
I have no Southern accent. I've never really lived there for too much. I had a speech impediment when I was young, and I had speech therapy, and then being raised in Europe, so I have no discernible. I don't really have an accent. But I came back to the States and graduated from high school, went to university, And since I was in high school, I always worked bookstore that opened.
Okay.
And I continued with the business managing retail bookstores for many, many years.
Okay.
I grew up spending summers with my father in the South, back from Europe. And my father was in the coin-operated business, pinball machines and jukeboxes.
Okay.
He started before World War II. And so a lot of generations, he was a very popular guy and a little crazy. But one thing, he taught me how to work on pinball machines and jukeboxes, which is like a dying trade. We moved back to Berkeley, and it was the worst time in the world in the publishing world. There were no jobs in publishing. There were no jobs in retail books. So I find myself with, newly married and no job. And one trade, it's not going to work for me. So the other trade I knew, and I got a job working for a guy who had similar business as my father. Mm-hmm. And I did that for like a year. And I saw a shift of what was happening in that business, and I decided that I would start my own business. So I did. And so I had a successful business for many years in Berkeley where we sold and repaired jukeboxes, pinball machines. We morphed into setting up game rooms for startups like eBay, all of what people with Silicon Valley,
yeah,
building campuses. They want game rooms, and that became a very profitable side for us. And we also, and I did a lot of business with nightclubs, of course, and so we got into doing backstage setups for Belgian concerts.
Okay.
For friends and families of the bands or whatever. So that worked out very good.
Wow.
And we came down here late 90s again, and, back down for a visit, and we built our house. And then we went back up to Berkeley, and we started talking about the house down here, and we're looking at insurance, mortgage, business expenses, what the business is doing, how we're doing, and what the plan is. And we said, we have a house in Cabo that is paid for, and we have a house here that is worth a lot of money, and we have a business, so we sold everything. We were here full time. Started, like I say, doing a lot of exploring, traveling around, southern Baja in particular, and I really fell in love with the place even more. Loreto, some of the small villages here, San Ignacio, really nice places.
You must have seen such a change in so many different areas from then to now, and we talked earlier about the demographics changing, what some of these super big communities that are coming in and bringing in these high-priced homes and how they're really kind of affecting the land and the culture.
Yeah, and what that's, my concern is, you saw that old house I showed you.
Yeah.
The split pole. I found one of those in Teacapan last week when I was over there also in our village, and I posted it on my Facebook page, and one of my friends in Teacapan who lives there said, "Where is that?" And I said, "Well, I'll have to get the GPS coordinates because I can try to figure it out on the map, but we don't have street names here."
Exactly. There is no turn left.
And she told me,
North
she says,
Street.
"I didn't even know that house existed in this village." And so it's very similar. There's a few more of those here in Playita. What I need to do is go check them out again and document them.
Yeah.
Photo. So what we're seeing, like in Playita, as the older folks, whether they be locals or gringos, get older, they're dying and they're selling out, they're moving back to the States, or the older Mexicans here maybe moving with another family member somewhere else. These old properties are going on the market, and the majority of them are tear downs. And so what I would like to see is a little bit more building here that fits in with the flavor
Yes.
of a Mexican village than some of the newer total glass sort of places that we're seeing. I don't know how to do that. I'm a guy with 2 trailers, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's a plus for the
It is
village.
absolutely. I mean, look at this place.
You know, instead of putting up a 3-story
Exactly.
building.
Yeah.
So I'm not in it for the financial.
Right.
I'd like to just, you know, this place can stay here
Right.
forever. I don't care.
Yeah. Just preserve the history and the culture and just.
Oh, yeah. Well, we see, you know, the infrastructure here is, as a whole, you know, it is strained.
Yeah.
And we need to watch out and pay attention to that. So we've got that, and then we have the question of dislocating, you know, local families,
Yeah.
displacing them, and where do they go?
I think the thing that people that aren't Mexican don't realize is that families stay together for generations.
Exactly.
Generations after, and they're in the same house for generations.
Right, so you have the grandkids and the grandparents,
Yeah.
you know, and the generations in between. And that's what we have right here across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think one of the things that when I first came to Mexico that endeared me to it was when I was sitting outside on that bench in the square back in 1985, was that it reminded me of how it was like growing up in Europe when I was a kid. It was a throwback to that time, and I'll blast back into years ago, because I first went to Europe in '56, and you know the war hadn't been over that long, and it was the same thing. We lived our first place in an apartment above a German family, and their family and kids, and then they had a barn attached to the house with the cows, and you know, that was it. And I loved it when I got here and I saw these guys coming in from the ranchos on their riding in, you know, on the weekends or something.
And the goats walking around.
The goats and the pigs
Yeah.
wandering around.
Yeah, so great.
I this is how it was when I grew up.
Yeah, it's so great.
I think that's one thing I really liked about Mexico. I saw it. Oh, it reminds me of my youth growing
Yeah,
up.
yeah. It's a simpler time,
Yeah.
for sure.
When I was young, we were younger, you know, we'd get on that highway, drive down to San Lucas and party and drive home.
Yeah.
No way.
No way would we do that.
I don't do
anymore.
that.
No way. No way.
I remember the last time I did that was Sammy Hagar's birthday party. And my friend, he was in the music business, he called me and said, I'm down here with Sammy Hagar, it's his birthday. We're having a big party, you know, at his club,
Cabo Wabo.
Cabo Wabo. You know, come on down, meet Sammy and all of that. Well, we did, and I have to tell you, driving home that night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I said, Sammy did me in.
Yeah,
I can't do that again.
Can't ever do that again.
No, never.
I bet you've met some really interesting people here. Probably a lot of celebrities, a lot of, like you mentioned, who were you saying? Who lived in that house over there? I can't remember.
Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop, yeah.
Iggy Pop house is right up, two
Right
houses
there.
up here.
Yeah.
My friend Francois lives there now.
Yeah, the artist, Francois. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think's the biggest difference between when you first got here and what you see now that is good, and then what do you see is the bad? We may have already touched on that a little bit, but
Well, I think the good that I've seen over the years is that, I mean, years ago, we had a hard time finding fresh milk. I mean, we had no stores. We had Frutas y Verduras, which was a small local chain, and they had a butcher shop in there, which smelled like, ugh. And it took us a long time to get them to train how to trim the meat we wanted. But I mean, those were pretty funky places.
but that was all you had.
That was all we had. We had a Rumbera. There might have been one in San Lucas, and we had one here. And they carried some gringo products, but they were expensive. That was it. So to buy, you know, there was no one shop for items from like Home Depot. You had to go to like 3 or 4 hardware stores, ferreterias, to find what you wanted. A lot of stuff you know you were never going to find here. So a plus is that there's so much more stuff available. We have Costco and Home Depot, and I remember when Costco opened, we went down there for opening day, and when I see everybody I knew from town, gringos and Mexicanos, everybody we're all like Costco. It's like a big party down there.
Party at Costco.
And so that's cool. I had a concern about how it affects the local businesses. We have like OXO going in on every block, which is hurting the local stores. I hate to see that. One of the things that we've progressed on quite a bit is the litter problem.
Also, the pet neutering and spaying.
I wanted to mention that too. That's
because you help out with that, don't you?
Yeah, we used to feed stray dogs in the arroyo, walk down from our house, and they live in caves. They'd dig out in the sand, and there'd be little packs of them, and and that was before there was anything with the Humane Society or Casa Sheila or any of the local agencies that we have now, which are great. Or we would just fill up backpacks with food and walk down, leave food out for them. Not harass them, not bother them, just leave food for them. And then once the Humane Society got going, my wife was really involved with working with them, with the spay and neuter clinics. And then we would go down to the arroyo with the van and round up the old dogs, and take them in and fix them and try to find homes for those dogs. If not, my solution was turn them loose in the wild. Or we got a dog, Judy took a dog in with a group, they rounded up in a van, an old dog, old lab mix that she had been feeding that she called Pops. And he was old and mangy and not many teeth left, and she was told no one's going to adopt this dog. It's better that it just get put down. Now, at the time, we already had 3 dogs, or 2 dogs, I forget. But anyway, too many, and I told her, no dogs. So she came home and said, well, we have a cat. Looks like a dog.
But we're calling it a cat.
I promised that dog he was not going to get put down, and so
you couldn't,
that's not going to happen. So we've had many dogs here, all of them rescue, and so that's been, we don't see those wild dogs in the arroyos anymore. And you don't see a lot of mangy dogs on the street. A lot of gringos come down here and their hearts are good and their intentions are good. But they see a dog on the street without a collar and they say, oh, that's a cute dog. That's a street dog. I'm going to take it home. Well, I have to tell you, the last thing people are going to spend their money on is a dog collar or a tag.
That's right. You're right.
They're lucky that they're getting some food.
They're not going to buy them a nice collar.
So all of these dogs that are not collared or tagged, it's not that they're street dogs. They belong to somebody. And so you have to be. And I know people who have picked up dogs that belong to other locals.
And they were heartbroken, I'm sure.
Exactly. And I can just imagine some kid coming home from school and his dog has disappeared. And so that concept that you could go down to Mexico and just pick up a dog off the street, just like a kid, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
You have to be aware of the situation and that these dogs most likely belong to someone. Now, if you find a sick, mangy dog, all means, do whatever you can.
Take it to the vet.
But I have to tell you, we're not seeing those sick, mangy dogs.
It's so much better. So much better. The pets, even the wild animals like the cats, they look healthier. They're doing great. And you said there's a lady just on the corner here who brings in
Missy has her
cat rescue.
She's an artist, gives art classes there, and she takes care of a lot of cats.
Yeah, that's great.
In fact, we had Bud on this property had 5 cats.
Yeah.
And I told her, she said she was going to take them. I said, because I had dogs, and one of my things is I was going to have my dogs down here.
Yes.
And I said, and they're, I can't,
Yeah, we don't want any conflicts with the dogs and the cats.
So she's got all the cats have been relocated. They're just 3 houses now.
Yeah.
I think every once in a while one comes in. But I'm happy to see the cats gone because When I first took over the property here, like I say, there's 50 palm trees of different varieties, mango trees and everything. It's a pretty nice little oasis. Is that we didn't have many lizards or iguanas here, and I think it was because of the cat population. And nor birds.
Yeah, look at them. I've been watching the birds back there. They're just beautiful.
My tenants here have set up bird feeders all over the place.
Gorgeous.
And so we're getting a lot of birds. And in the past few weeks, we've seen some nice sized iguanas move back in, which is good. But yeah, the situation with the animals here is really improved.
And then the bad that you've seen, I think we touched on earlier, is more about, you know, families live in these homes for generations, and then the developers come in and displace them and build a big house or a big community there, and then the family gets, you know, dispersed, and that's
and that's the
really
thing that's
tough on
kept the
them.
Mexican people strong. I think the generations of families. So I don't know how to, you know, I don't know how to stop progress. I don't really. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, that's a hard problem to solve. It really is.
But it's a, you know, it's a concern. As time goes by, it will change. They're putting up all these new condos now on the road out there. It's amazing. But you can see, like my tenant here, he's happy. He's got his boat here in the marina. Now he has his trailer here on my property. Walks to, we have El Ganzo to eat, you know, which is pricey, but good.
Really good.
Yeah, and we've got more stuff opening all the time with restaurants here, which is a plus for us who live here. We can walk to dinner.
Yes.
Getting on that bridge is, you know, to me, I don't like to do that anymore.
I don't even like to do it, but I love coming out here. Well, thank you very much, Jim, for talking to us.
Yeah,
it's just been great, and there's so many stories that you even shared with me before, so this has been like a memorable day for me, just getting to hang out with you and look around. So I'm so grateful that you did this. So thank you so much for watching Expat Chat with the original guy, Jim Tolbert.
There's people longer than me, but not
you're
many left
not
around.
Many. I mean, so it's just been such an honor to get to chat with you. And I'm going to turn off the camera and we're going to keep talking. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.